So, Rama, welcome and thank you so much for giving us time at short notice. And I know the last few months have been probably a very new experience for almost all of us, including someone like you who has had so many challenges, right from your engineering days to the leadership that you have today in your company, in industry associations. Uh, so, how has it been? I mean, if you were to just summarize, how have you dealt with the last 2, 3 months? Uh, what has stood out in the way you have dealt with the situation?
I think, Prasenjit, for most of us, and I'll tell you my experience, if I capture myself in a video, what was when the corona hit us, initially you remember Auto Expo was there. That was the time when China was on the peak and it was scare actually. And I was already going through a viral fever and my doctor was advising not to go to Auto Expo because anyway, corona was already known by that time. So a huge unknown fear, that was the starting point. Because this is one crisis which is nothing to do only with business. This is our public life and private life coming together. Its work and life both were disrupted. And even though China was on its peak, I think in India, general sentiment that time was, it's okay, it's in China. India may be affected, but not that fast. But the moment Italy happened, the moment Europe happened, the moment developed countries started happening, and I was in Sweden in February. I was for the ministerial conference for the road safety. And that time also China was, blocked. So no Chinese people were allowed to come in the conference. So it was basically a Chinese problem. And even Auto Expo government said all visa closed. So this was all about, there's something happening like a news. When Italy happened. And the moment we started seeing cases in India, the first case in Kerala, I think it did hit us that it will happen to us. And Italy was really bad. And then we used to have a lot of social media feed and news. So from that fear of unknown, it went deeper. And that was the period even for me, visualizing what all can happen. And then the lockdown, how lockdown works in China and the economic blockade. So this was a huge, deeper fear then. And then it hit us directly. So when it really hit us, the lockdown started. I think then the fear started coming down. We said, okay, we are managing it now. It's in front, it's in our house now. That was the time. And recently, at that time, you had this Nijamuddin case where some of these people were spread in the country. That was the first spurt for India. And besides just my wall, there's a society, which is Sanjanabad Society, where we had the Nijamuddin cases and we were like a containment zone or a red zone. So of course, it went from fear to fear to fear. And then immediately the realization came, now since it hit us, we start doing something. So to me, at that time, a lot of wisdom what we got from the other part of the world started working. Social distancing, you have the hand wash, you have whatever is needed. So I used to tell everybody at that point of time, as long as the collective wisdom is traveling faster than the virus, we are safe. So the feeling, the feeling that we are able to grab it. And then the pathetic situation came where I personally saw the migrant laborers on road. Because I had an emergency, I had to bring my family back from my in-laws' place and I got a pass somehow and I went to bring them and I was on road in the Yamuna Expressway and I saw thousands and thousands of them and I was alone in my vehicle. A very different feeling came, which was different than Corona. So I have seen really, I think in my lifetime, I think many of us that way, never ever such kind of disruption happened. Other than the economics, it was very personal. It really hit us badly. And the pain of migrant labor, still you can see on my face, because all of us are migrant that way, not only them. If you are a little bit well off, the blockade hits us differently. And if somebody loses the trust, I think the biggest thing I saw, when I saw these faces and people walking thousands of kilometers, it was clear to them they lost the trust. So to me, it was in phases. If you ask me today, my flat is actually sealed now, because we have suddenly a spot of case because the lockdown is getting over. And on our top, we have got now 6 corona cases and it's not in control. So a feeling of not in control, high uncertainty. In my business also, we always used to have our decision making. So I am in command, I am in control, I am in lead. That situation has gone and here we are into a very fuzzy situation. So this is my feeling as of now. And in that, the biggest pain I saw was the migrant labor, and second biggest I saw was the small and medium enterprises. Because any tier 1 company like us, when we supply to our OEMs, we depend on tier 2, tier 3, and they were losing hope. Imagine if any 2 or 3 of them closes their shop, we all depend on them. Because it's not about the size, it's about the scope. A car cannot be built if somewhere a small enterprises fail. So this was the second weakest link Corona exposed to me. One was the skill gap in the industry and how we value skill, the migrant labor. And second was the small and medium enterprises. They were on the receiving end, and it was very painful. Even till now, we are doing our best. We took some steps in the phases, but the pain is still in our heart.
Now, this is very interesting that in the midst of the migrant labor crisis and what you have seen, where employers, for good reasons sometimes and sometimes for not so good reasons, could not pay and take care of their workers for even 3 months, and they were all forced to walk literally hundreds and hundreds of miles. How did you deal with it? Because you have a double whammy. On one hand, your industry, the auto industry in general, was not doing that well, and on top of it, this particular COVID crisis. Can you tell us, as you go back in hindsight, of course, is always 2020. What are the things that you did proactively, and with hindsight, what are the things you think you should have done differently? Tell us your story.
Yeah, I think immediately what we did was great was at ACMA, because I tell you, ACMA is a very strong association, Component Manufacturer Association, more than 800 members there, and a lot of SMEs. I think 60% plus, with the new definition, will be small and medium enterprises at ACMA. I'm very happy. All leaders came together. I was at my in-laws' place on a remote connectivity, but I remember on a mobile, because Zoom was very accessible. Immediately we came on the Zoom as a video conferencing, and we took few decisions immediately. One of that was, we knew that the credit crunch will happen. Credit will be a question mark. So immediately we sent out a letter to all OEMs telling that how they need to support SMEs and the component manufacturer at this point of time, because they will have access to funds. So look at that way. So immediately we shoot out this letter from the President ACMA. The second thing we did immediately, all the members, we did a survey who wants to pay and give confidence to the blue collar that nothing is going to happen to them. And can you pay in advance a little bit? Because it was 16th March when we all started.
That's right.
And somewhere 22nd, when the announcement all done. So what we did immediately, before even lockdown, we were thinking how to support our migrant workers and the blue collars and software workers. So to your good satisfaction, most of the members at ACMA paid in advance in that month to the blue collar, because it was not a problem of how long you pay. It was losing trust. The moment these blue collar workers lose trust, they will start going back. And this was our fear. In fact, that happened. But you have to also understand there is a large number of labor which is in unorganized sector. I'm sure the organized sector took care of it. So what went good was this confidence to the soft floor workers from all of us. Even as HELA, we did that. We paid in advance. We immediately communicated to them. What did not go well? I think as a group, we are not a very good PR kind of people. So we did not went on a mass communication to tell every migrant labor and workforce that you will be taken care. Unfortunately, even Prime Minister in his speech did not tell about it, because nobody forecasted that probably at that time. People were still thinking the moment government has a circular that everybody will be paid. Nobody should retrench, nobody should stop payment. This was a circular from the government side, and this was good enough to give them confidence. But we did not realize that they come from a different background. For them, native place means something else. And from the past, they have seen whenever automotive has gone down, the contract labors were taken off. And so those things were in their head. And that experience let them lose the trust. So somewhere we did not do well is to give the confidence and the trust somehow in that intensity that they understand. I think fortunately for HELA, it was great, because we not only did, it was in our own circle of influence. So we not only supported them, we also started engagement program. We had family get-togethers digitally. I was personally with every blue collar, every software worker. We had their hobbies displayed. We had talent hunt programs. You'll see on our Facebook and all, our families were dancing together. We had creative poems and kitchen garden competitions there. So I think I never saw that much close to my software worker before what I saw in these days. So I think these things as a company, we did great. But as an industry, we did great by this collection management, working capital management, and then giving signal to the blue collar worker by paying them in advance and taking care of them. But what we did not do well, definitely, is that intensity of communication to build that trust.
And it is interesting that crisis like this is, in a sense, a great opportunity to build strong foundation of trust. Because people will not forget what happened during this time for a very long time. And you are using that in your own organization in Hela. So tell us a little bit more. There are 3 dimensions to this. So there is a business continuity dimension, and and sometimes leaders focus only on business continuity and not enough on people. But there is a second important dimension, maybe even more important, that how can people remain focused and how can you win their trust so that your business continues only if they are with you. And number 3, in the short term, there are liquidity and cash flow issues and supply chain disruptions. So how did you deal with this? In your mind, did you have a blueprint, or was this emerging as you went, and what happened?
So of course, nobody planned for it. Nobody planned for it. Nobody knew. This is unprecedented what happened. But I guess this also comes from culture, because I tell you, whatever crisis happened external, there's no guarantee COVID-20 will not happen when COVID-19 is going to get over, or COVID-21 will not happen. You don't know. So yeah. I think what you should always figure out, which we figure out, what is your internal strength? So depending on organization to organization, culture varies. For us, there is a culture which we built long back. We call it trust and challenge. You might have heard many times about it. We inbuilt since 2010. It was like, even to the level of family, we started practicing that. We said, when 2 people have to work together, there has to be a background of trust, unquestioned trust. At the same time, we must challenge so that the high performance culture comes. So this trust and challenge is our kind of a logo, or whatever you call in the internal organization. Now, we came back to our culture, and culture gave us this strength. This is the time when the disruption caused by Corona for Hela India Lighting, the single biggest factor I'll contribute was our culture, which brought us together instantly. I don't think we had a second thought. We did not have a blueprint also. So immediately, all of us came on WhatsApp group. So it was already popular before. I kind of work with 0 email. I don't have actually email. I don't really shoot out a new email. Since years now, I have a practice of coming together, calling together in meeting, in conference, on WhatsApp, on text messages, on call. So this all came together. We immediately announced a task force where we have people, every 10 employees, we had like a commander or a leader. And then we all wanted to check with everybody. So twice we used to call everybody with these leaders and volunteers. And then came the ideas. How do we engage further and further and further? This was the time that I took not only our software worker, but also our mechanics, which is not our employees. But they were losing hope. The technician on the street, the roadside garages, because we have a large aftermarket business. The drivers, sometimes when I got them on Zoom, they were in their lungis, and they were never having experience. They just clicked on the link on Zoom and they came, even the sound was not coming. And our volunteers were trying to train them. I tell you, I never saw, this was a digital push which nobody could have imagined. That a person in a Ambattur or in Jhumri Tilaiya, or I don't know from where, I had people coming in. I had 500, 600 people interaction every day. With a small company, for me, it was overwhelming. I was working 17, 18 hours, which actually continues even today, even till today. So what we could do was not something coming out of our smart brain. It just came from culture, because we practice something called you are, therefore I am, which always says that my existence depends on you. And I used to tell them openly, I have a poster actually, I showed them everyone initially that you are, therefore I am, whether it's a software worker or a technician or a driver, whoever it is. Now, Corona has proved that we are safe only when the last guy on this planet is safe. This became very obvious. that all of us come together. And I told everybody, this is the tough time. Let's come together. I used to hold a hand like this digitally and tell people. We used to have an air hug on Zoom many, many times. You know, these things do matter. And the biggest thing we could do immediately is the sense of security, sense of hope. To the extent we went to sense of celebration, you know, we started the kids coming together, you know, my kids, my wife, all of us danced together with these people and we actually unlocked many things. We really did not worry about security problems and, you know, hierarchy issues, nothing. As such, the culture was like that. It went to next level. I don't think we are going to go back on that now. It's irreversible. It is the culture pushed by Corona is irreversible. Many, you know, there is a family group now. We only had the working group. Now the housewives have made a group in the company and they are working on concepts like how to celebrate happiness. Personally, if you ask me, I went to get trained in yoga as a yoga teacher. I went into meditation and now I am, you know, I am kind of spreading happiness. There's an organization called Art of Living. I got the voluntary training program there. And I'm assisting courses and courses. For example, we gave tribute to doctors. And I assisted a doctor course one after another, where we are giving them certain techniques for freeing stress. In my own location, which is digital location, it's continuously happening. So this is how we pass that time. Coming to working capital, yeah.
Yes, no, I'm just summarizing what you were saying so far, and then we'll go to the business part and the working capital. I think COVID gave us an opportunity, A, to come together. There was a common crisis. B, we were forced to move to digital. So therefore barriers were broken. The moment it is digital, you know, you can include almost anyone. So therefore the hierarchy was broken and you took full advantage of that. Your organization now is not just you and your employees, but includes their families. So therefore the unit is the family, not just the individual, and therefore the kind of belongingness and ownership that is there is very, very strong, because the entire family feels like they are members of HELA and not just the individual. Now, in this context where people are feeling positive, charged up, how did you deal with exactly what you are about to talk about, which is working capital, supply chain, demand disruption, and is that, I mean, did you have a lot of reserves and therefore you didn't have to worry, or you actually had a problem?
So to tell you very frankly, this kind of crisis, whatever reserve you have, because businesses are run by, you know, working capital, which is always having a mathematics. So if the first time ever, zero revenue, have you seen, have I seen? No, many seniors did not see it, that you have months with zero revenue. And of course, you must take care of the company. You have all the cost or fixed cost. So it did end up with a disruption on working capital. Fortunately, like you said, na, that we always said in HELA India Lighting, we have three things. We are family, we are celebration, and we are the change what we want to see in the society, including the skilling activity, including the road safety activity. So what we saw immediately, that if we are not supporting our suppliers, our tier 2 and tier 3, they will give up. And when we got them on board, and the biggest worry on their head was this uncertainty of credit. So it's not only HELA. HELA is not alone. HELA has got an ecosystem. So it's employees, it's suppliers, and these needs fund from us. And we have to live to our family culture. So what we did is we converted ourselves around, I think, 30 of us out of the complete employee base. 30 of us, we made a war room. And personally, I was leading that war room around 7 o'clock every day in the evening. After the bank hour is over, we became like a mobile company or a banking company. Every 1,000, 20,000, 30,000 rupees. Can you imagine a company like us where after 10,000, 20,000 rupees collection, we understood working capital management and a collection management is about follow-up. We understood this. And we also knew the market is closed. So when market is closed, nobody is going to pay. And we have many customers. We have large OEM customer, and then we have the small distributor and dealer. Now, the first thing every dealer distributor does is they also have to do the same working capital management. So they will not pay us. Now, how do we handle? That is where we organize the first training for all of them, called Finance for Non-Financial People. We gave them the pride that how money is made by them. In this country, people don't understand where the money is made. People feel banks are making money, government is making money. Actually, entrepreneurs make money. The biggest risk of this country is taken care by entrepreneurs, not large public enterprises. Now, this pride we infuse in all our dealer, distributor, and small enterprises. We told, you are the guys who are actually running the country. So you must know how to get this crisis over, how to get the finances done. So we talked to our bank and we started educating financial literacy. We found them weak, really weak. They did not approach the bank when they know that this can last long. And we hand-holded them to go to the bank. We told, because with bank our relationship was good. Our CFO took the direct class. Me and him actually paired up. And I was giving them a little bit on the purpose, and CFO was getting directly into working capital with the ratios, how the turnover ratios were moving. I think it did miracle. Can you imagine that we started getting collection from smallest of the small guys from wherever they can? We told them that let's not choke the cycle, because once the cycle is choked, they will be in that trap. They will not come back. And they understood. Even when they had zero collection from market, they were able to do. What we did best was every government announcement. In ACMA, we used to discuss. Every day I used to send them the update. Even if when the highways opened up, when the trucks opened up, when agriculture opened up, we were able to prepare them. And we used to have, we got from ministry, number of garages on highway. Even we did not know them. We called everybody and we confirmed which is working, which is not working, and gave to our distributor. Now you can work with them. So actually at this time, you have to go micro. And we went micro. That's why it took time. So working capital management is, there's nobody who is going to help you out at this time. You yourself can help yourself by real follow-up of the biggest thing is, because you can't do with inventory anything here. You can't do with the normal customer. So you have to do the fund management and do the follow-up of collection. So in the stakeholder and the chain, when everybody pulls up little bit of fund, it's fine. Because if bank gives only one stakeholder, I was told by many of my internal team members in those meetings, because I used to be very tough. I was very tough in that meeting. As I am, strongly supporting the people matter, I strongly support the high performance culture. So if somebody told me that some expectation for tomorrow in bank and nothing came, we were going deeper there. Why? Because, and somebody asked me, Hela can take a loan. Why don't you take a loan and pay up everything? I said, when we take a loan, Hela is alone. When I get 20 people take a loan, I have partners. Then for the next 6 months, next 9 months, we are not disrupted. Because everybody take a 2 lakh loan, 3 lakh loan. Why should I take a 10 crore loan alone? I will take a 5 crore loan, but I want a partnership, because partnership is about pain sharing and gain sharing. Like you say, people will remember this time. And some of the distributor, for them asking for money at this time was like a crime. Some actually murmured. And then we had the understanding and discussion. We said, no, this is business. Business is a continuity, which is separate than individual us. And we must take care of that. So it was tough time. By 7 we start, and we used to go till 9, and whole day we used to work. I used to call these distributors. OEMs we used to call. From ACMA we send out the letter. I guess it was a most engaging topic. And today all of them agrees, because say, because of you, I was on my toes. Because of you, I opened my shop earlier. Because of you, I made my shop social distancing. And we supported also with a lot of know-how, training continuously. So working capital management was most tough, because it started with zero financial literacy. It started with less empathy for business and finance, more about people and kaun kya bolenge, sabse bada ro kya kahenge log. When you get into this conversation, people are still under fear. So unka fear hatana. So this whole cycle was for us a big learning.
So this is real leadership, because this requires people to trust you. And what you were saying is so positive. What you were saying is, even in the worst crisis, people can come together and look at the greater good, and how together as a team, each one achieves more, rather than holding on to my cash or trying to take advantage of the situation. And the ability in that entire chain, because even one part in the chain can actually break the chain, right? So therefore, taking everyone together in that chain and ensuring that your family survives and my family survives, and together I have to help you and you have to help me. And this is leadership, because the government can only give instructions. They cannot tell you how to behave. And we have seen a lot of people behave the right way and the wrong way. And at any point in time, while you were doing this, you would have also encountered many other leaders in industry forums and other places, and everyone has a different style. What do you see as some of the mistakes that leaders make during times of crisis? And basis whatever we see, and without passing comments on anybody, because everybody has their own genuine reasons, but what are some temptations or mistakes that one can potentially make in this situation?
I think with respect to the SMEs specifically,
Yes.
The feeling that I'm small and I'll be hit hard, I think as an information it is fine. But getting so much scared that you lose hope and you get into heavy cost cutting, as if tomorrow I will not exist. This mindset I saw in some leaders. And this is really poison. The moment you get defeated inside your mind, you are already finished. And you will beam. Whatever you try, you are in good dress and you're telling your employee everything is fine. But inside, you already have been defeated. And you feel that I will not exist. I saw this how? I saw with their action. They will start consolidating their core competency in a way that tomorrow will not exist. They will start talking in a way that tomorrow does not exist. I think this is what I immediately encountered. And I tried my level best to bring them out of it. Some of them came out of it and they realized that what they were doing is actually, because your internal immunity is everything. Business is like a human body. Your internal immunity is everything. The moment you get into that depressive, as a business, you start taking those decisions. So things like not appearing in front of employees, going away, not talking to them, not being together, just getting HR handle the HR topics. I think those were some of the wrong things which some of the leader did, including my own company. Some of the department head could have gone in that direction, but we brought them back. What we always needed at that time was completely on the dance floor. This was not the time for balcony. This was not the time for analysis. This was not the time not to pay them and to tell them to take a salary cut. This was the time to let them come back and say, and I know many of my suppliers because I was with them and we had a lot of these Zoom calls. Few of them got food supplied to their houses, to the laborers. And you know what the laborers did? Laborers came up with great idea how they can convert that company into a mask making company, how they can convert that company into a sanitizer making company. This was done by blue collar soft floor workers because they became together. Many of my owner driven suppliers told me, sir, I never thought that we are same family. The moment my wife talks to them and we became like one, the idea started coming in. They said, please don't pay now. I'm fine. मुझे चावल मिल रहा है, मुझे अन्न मिल रहा है, सरकार भी दे रही है. इस समय सर आप अपने घर को देखो, हम लोग अपने घर को देखते हैं, and जितनी जल्दी हो सके आप परमिशन लो, because रेड जोन में परमिशन नहीं मिल रहा था. So blue collar worker went for permission. I saw that success also. So I think in that tough time, rather than cutting costs, not believing in your people, and only depending, सबको क्या लगा बैंक में जितना पैसा होगा वही सब कुछ है. So some of the leader went back to capital as the major factor of production or major factor of business. I don't think at this point of time this was needed. What was needed was the trust, to win back the trust, because once you build that trust, even if you're in deep debt, no problem. I was telling many of my guys, even if you come in deep debt at this time is no problem. But if your debt goes to your trust bank, your trust account is in debt, you are finished, because people will remember this time. And many people went, to their native place. I don't think they will come back to the same company because they saw how it was handled.
And on the contrary, just yesterday, I was talking to a entrepreneur, very successful entrepreneur. He has built a $1 billion company, and he has given across the board increments to his factory workers. And he is saying that they have the guts to come to my factory, which is fully sanitized, social distancing, mask, and all of that. But they have the guts to come and work. They are, I and my managers, we just go to show our face sometime, but we are mostly working from home. And the message that he has given to his people is, जब तक मेरे घर में रोटी है, आपके घर में रोटी मिलेगी.
Exactly.
So, and I think this is what leadership is all about. It is not about the designation like CEO or compensation like some other CEO. It is about how many people are willing to trust you enough to say that my family may or may not be very comfortable, but I'm going to that shop floor. I'm going to ensure that we are trying to do the best that we can.
Prasenjit, even other than this interview, one thing you will also realize, as person, you and I are friend, isn't that we have become a little bit more human in this period? We have started a little bit more smiling in this period. It's very, sometimes I thank Corona for this. The way I have evolved myself also as a person, and not only me, my suppliers, my employees, the kind of ideas and creativity they have started bringing.
Yes. And one thing that has happened, this is my belief, and you should tell me if you think like that, is as leaders, we realize that we are human beings. We have become more humble, and therefore many of us as leaders, we judge less and we help more, thanks to the COVID.
Exactly.
We are mostly, in many of us at least, had a tendency of being judgmental. Now we realize that there are forces far beyond me as a CEO, my organization, or even my country. And let me judge less and let me see how I can help more. Last question to you is, what do you see change in future? And this again, if you can break it into three parts. One is in your own business, do you think there's anything is going to significantly change in future, the way you do your business? Are there opportunities that you are going to leverage? And when it comes to managing people and culture, is there anything that is going to change? And the last component, which we'll end with, is what is our obligation to our industry, to our society, to our community, and to the country? And we'll come to that at the end. But first, any changes for your business in future that you are predicting?
I think the first thing will happen is the business model change in terms of, because the demand is going to be uncertain. When the demand is going to be uncertain, the whole mass manufacturing will be disrupted. We read in theory about mass manufacturing, economy of scale, right? Now the time has come, how do we disrupt in a way that we have the economy of scale, at the same time we minimize the investment lock-in period. It is called mass customization. So you do the mass product, but out of a modular approach. So in design, take a modular approach. In manufacturing, take a modular approach. And then for various customers, the investment remains a shared investment. Let's say in past, if you launch a vehicle, the vehicle will last for years, and it was clear. And then it pays you off about your tooling investment and design and development investment. Now I clearly see that OEMs also needs to have partner rather than only a supplier. So the biggest change in the business model is going to be collaborative business model. And it can go to any extent. For example, Industry 4.0 will come not only for large manufacturing company, but also for small company. I have coined a word in last manufacturing summit, is something called community manufacturing will come. So a supplier can remain in a agriculture area somewhere in a small industrial zone, and he can support to metros rather than all migrant labor has to come to metro. And in the center of all of this change will be a big boom for talent. So talent will be regarded and respected. The rise of, if you see factor of production, the entrepreneur, the owner, and the skill actually will come together like a technology startup. You see, technology startup, who starts, who has the knowledge, right? And he becomes entrepreneur also. He invests his sweat capital into that. This is what I feel in the manufacturing business model also will come in, that you have the talent who will start this. Now, the second thing is happening is digital. The biggest change we are going to in the consumer business, and we actually did it now, we are getting the fruits of it, that working from home will be like an option now. Working from home was it's supposed to be not a disciplined Indian, home can, but I think this is such a nice, pleasant surprise to every leader. And you have heard TCS talking about it, others talking about it. I have personally won very large business to US during this period because I had working from home all my design and development guys. And this was such a positive surprise that one of the largest business in this period I won during the lockdown. And this happened because everybody on his computer was able to present to customer. It was a US customer. So we had a lot of this everyday evening interaction. So the digital is here to stay, and we must incorporate digital into all factor of working, not only digital as a one face or the other, end-to-end digital. Our consumer business, we were visiting every day. I think in a month, maybe 5,000 customers or 5,000 visits. This will come down heavily for us, and we will engage them more on digital portal, like in Zoom, like in WhatsApp, like whatever. So these changes will not only disrupt Hela, this will also change many other organizations. In this respect, I want to caution all the small enterprises, don't copy everything from everywhere. This is the time to focus on your core. Build a competency. There is no match for others. Others will not match with you. Build an efficiency frontier and think that you will be like a global world class, not just to one OEM customer or one tier one supplier. You should become, your offering should be so great, and that is where the whole knowledge economy will also get into manufacturing. So business model change is here to stay. One has to think world class now. One has to stop in the mindset of build to print. When the industry is coming from China to India, when vocal for local is so clear now here, I think it is an opportunity. And for SMEs, government has really done a good job now. The package for capital, CapEx support is really great. So why not? This is the time we use the Corona debacle or crisis into a new world order where India, like Japan, like China, comes up on the world stage, not by only large manufacturing company, but also by small manufacturing.
And on that note, what do you think leaders like you and others can do so that the potential of the manufacturing sector in India is realized at least partially, and a lot of people have a lot of demands from the government, and is it sort of reasonable to expect that the government will make India the next China in manufacturing, or we have to do it? And if so, what do we do?
I think forget that government will be able to do it. You know, ideally, India would have booming by this time, but the business and the industry from China is going to Vietnam, is going to, I don't know which all countries within ASEAN, but not to India, because India has to deserve that first. And to tell you, I'm an Indian. I'm really for community. I'm always on whenever anybody asks me, but I'm really disappointed the kind of productivity level we have, the kind of skill, respect for skill we have, does not let us deserve to be that world class. So the biggest thing leaders like us should do and must do is to inspire people to respect skill. I always tell that in our manufacturing sector, there are two weak links, and we must contribute to solve that. One is the skill robbery, I say. Why skill robbery? Because today an operator remains an operator for lifelong. Why? In my earlier company in Bosch, I saw one of the vice president coming from apprentice. I am myself an apprentice. I love having that dream that an apprentice can become a managing director and a CEO tomorrow. This aspiration has to come. This society, we are actually obsessed by the degree and designation society. Somebody meets me and somebody meets me after my card. He changes, because this is how we give respect to designation and visiting card. This has to change. In Germany, when you go, an operator, a diploma holder, a mechanic comes in Mercedes, he has a respect in the society. A driver gets such a high salary. I think this is the biggest thing. I know it will happen in steps, but I'm personally doing it, and I'll continue to do it, even if it means that some people criticize me that I'm going to increase salary levels. And I think it is not important what salary level will increase. Important is what is the productivity. India is on the lowest. You see the graph. In all these aspiring economies and the developed economies, India is on the lowest when it comes to productivity. So even when China blue-collar prices are high, their productivity is high. So I appeal to all leaders, including me, that can we change this, turn around this, and skill robbery has to go off. The second weak point is the professionalization of SMEs. SMEs still does not invest into management bandwidth, still does not invest into trust creation in employees. They are very transactional. Look at Germany. Germany, the economy is strengthened by small enterprises. All big technology has been invented by small enterprises. India can do it. We have Jugaad. We have Jugaad. Today, all SMEs are because of its owner has mind and talent. Why can't you respect others like you and make more of you carbon copy? And please invest into this people development. In fact, for business, one of the major goals should be, I always tell since 2010 my town hall, that there are two approach of business we can take. One, which is for certain turnover and profit, you need people. The other way you can do is for people development, you need a project which is business. You see, the whole thing will change. And your employees will see the concern or the company not as business profit, they will see as their development place. They will see that as a college or university. And this change leaders can bring. I will appeal and I'll personally put myself into that suit, and you can visualize me day in, day out on that. I'm doing so much into skilling myself and I love doing it, that why not we come out and encourage more and more open innovation? Why don't we create more platform for it so that the small guys come in? When they win, we will win.
Absolutely. I think the key test is for if you are the owner of a small mid-sized company, I think the key question to you is who are the 10 people who are smarter than you in terms of product knowledge, in terms of expertise. If you can't think of 10 people, then clearly, you have not created a legacy, and that's not the right way of building the business. And
Prasenjit, it is missing. It is missing. It is missing. It is
it's
really
missing.
It's missing.
Because in every small enterprises, you see the same guy, the owner is the one who is going to all the forums, to all the trade fairs, to everywhere. He is by all yardstick the most knowledgeable on the subject, but that is the limiting factor for the SME, which is why India is not beating China. And I am convinced that like you have come from Madhubani, Rama, I have come from Guwahati. I think there is fire in millions of Indians. They are not going to just stay and not do something. We need more leaders like you to channelize that fire, and that operator will become the CEO. It has happened. Even multinationals like FedEx have done it. For courier boys have become CEOs of organizations like those. And I think the biggest takeaway that I'm going to leave our audience with is that a lot of leaders focus on one axis. There are leaders who are patriarchs who talk a lot about trust and care for employees, to the extent that sometimes it even becomes a relaxed and maybe not a very competitive culture. And there are people who build trust, but also build challenge. So therefore, if you can keep that combination of high trust caring for people with challenges which will inspire them to outperform, then you can call yourself a great place to work with sustained business results. Thank you so much, Rama. It's been a pleasure talking to you. This was brilliant.
Thanks, Prasenjit. Thanks a lot.